Oh, I'm mental. No, we're not starting early. Just leave that right there. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to start 5 minutes early and then I was welcoming people. And then a couple minutes after, time is an illusion anyway, right? We want to welcome you to Unity Center of Des Moines. I am Stevie Lang. Whether you are joining us in person or online today, we welcome you just as you are and honor that you are on your own unique spiritual journey. We are a place that supports a positive spiritual path. And if you happen to be visiting the first time today, as I look around, I think everybody has been here before, but maybe you missed it. There are some welcome packets as you come in, and you are welcome to take one of those. There are also some art fair registries and directories in the back if you are if you want to register for the art fair, or we value your feedback on those surveys. But without further ado, let's begin with song. The lyrics will be up on screen, and please sing along. Deeper, deeper into the heart of love. Deeper, deeper into the heart of love. Let it go into the mystery. Let it go into the mystery. Let it go into the mystery. Rising in love. Deeper, deeper into the heart of love. Deeper, deeper into the heart of love. Let it go into the mystery. Let it go into the mystery. Let it go into the mystery. Rising in love. Deeper, deeper into the heart of love. Deeper into the heart of love. Let it go into the mystery. Let it go into the mystery. Let it go into the mystery. Yay, can we get a round of applause for that? And Susan Kellogg with her wonderful voice. We're so glad to have her. And the message, rising in love. Okay, so announcements. I mentioned, could you turn my mic up a little bit? Thank you. I mentioned in the back on that red table, I'm looking at it right now, that we have 2026 directory and survey form. So there is a link in the newsletter. The link is absolutely preferred because then I don't have to decipher anyone's handwriting. But if you want a paper copy, they are back there. And then after you fill them out, if you could put them in the prayer box. I want to talk about what people have said at our next potluck on February 8th. And all the questions are optional, so you don't have to fill anything out that you don't want to. And you can tell me if you want it published or not. We'll honor that. We just really want to know what is resonating, what you want more of, and get your feedback. And also, we have some organizational changes that'll need to be happening at the end of the year. So we need to know who cares, who wants to be involved in navigating that shift. So if you could please get those to me by February 1st, that would be fantastic. I really appreciate your feedback, whatever you put down. Let's see what else. Oh, if you haven't noticed, when you go in the community room on the side, between those two doors, there is a bulletin board that is dedicated to Sunday morning stuff. So that's where you can see who the current board members are. You can see who the speakers coming up are. You can sign up to greet. If you aren't sure how to donate, there are QR codes for that. And just know there's that bulletin board. Wanted to draw your attention. That's our Sunday stuff bulletin board. Registration for the art fair, March 14th, is open now. There's paper forms out there. There's also a link online and in the newsletter. Love to see those. We're limiting it to 15 spots because it's a great time. We're going to have live music and a creative table, kid friendly. So come join that fun March 14th. And then our speaker today, Reverend Steven Winn from Fairfield, Iowa since 1984, is doing a workshop on February 7th in the sanctuary from 1:30 to 5:30. It is donation based. All proceeds help support this building and events going on. And the title of it is The Path of the Heart and Inner Christianity. So there are some little flyers out. If you look at that QR code, you can read about Stephen. You can read about what that workshop's going to cover. And you can also read some amazing testimonials regarding other events that he has done. And he's here today. So you can corner him and ask him anything you want. So February 7th, it would be nice if people registered also for that. There's a link to that in the newsletter, because then we can know how many people to expect. And if we're going to set up tables or materials or whatever, we just love to know if you're planning to come. But if you didn't register, please don't be like, oh, I didn't register, I can't go. If Spirit is nudging you to come, then you need to be here. February 7th, 1:30 to 5:30. Okay. Special events this week. In addition to midday meditation on Tuesday, Deb is going to have a gong along class. And if you didn't know, she is on TikTok and she has got millions of followers on TikTok. Views. Okay. Views. But so much so that my neighbor was like, I just started watching this lady and she plays this gong. And I'm like, I know her. And she's at Unity. So if you want to learn how to play the gongs, you can learn how. And then you can also participate in the gong along practices that are the first Tuesday. So that is coming up this coming Tuesday, 127, midday meditation at noon, and then gong along class, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Also, there is an additional men's circle with Abraham Lamarck that is going to be on Friday, the 30th at 6:30 p.m. That is a great group of guys that are stepping into their divine masculine, and highly recommend. I've heard all great things from the guys attending and also the women in their lives. So yay about that. That is Friday, January 30th, 6:30 p.m. in the sanctuary, and that is a donation-based event. Saving the date for future things, I mentioned the workshop, February 7th. And then February 14th, we're going to have Contra Dance, which I had never heard of until someone said we do it. And there's going to be a live band and a caller. It's a family-friendly event. There's a flyer in the atrium. It's in the newsletter. You can Google Contra Dance and learn about it. It's a great time. There's people from all over Iowa that are going to be coming because it's an established community, and we're all welcome. So that's February 14th. Doors open at 7 p.m. And then February 19th, Chip Albright, who came and did music when Carrie spoke at Burning Bowl, he's going to start having a Thursday open mic, the third Thursday of the month, open mic with Chip. I don't know exactly what it's going to be like, but come join the fun. There'll be more information coming out in the newsletter, so watch for that. The first one is going to be February 19th, though. Regular events, as always, are on the calendar. If you go to unitydesmoines.com, click calendar. If you're on your phone, click month. It'll take you to the current month. You can see everything that's happening. Also, as you come in the atrium, I've got flyers up on that string above the glass table. That's of events that are coming up here in the sanctuary. So you got multiple ways to find out what's going on. Very excited about all the events that we have coming up. We are truly a co-created community. All right, I think that's it for announcements. Are there any that I either didn't know about or forgot? Yay. Okay, let's do our statement of faith. If we could all say this together, it will be up on screen. There's only one power active in my life and in the universe, the divine source of life and love. Next, the unity affirmation. And as we say this, if you could really drop into the feeling of oneness, I like to uncross my hands and my feet and just feel the support of the earth and the chair beneath me and know I am an energetic thread in the cosmic fabric of life, connected to all that is the oneness. Unity of Des Moines is a radiating center of the divine light, mighty to attract its good and to radiate good to others. And with that spirit of oneness, I have a list of people that have asked to be in our prayers this week. Akira, Elena, Annabelle, Brittany, Carla, Seal, Chad, Dawn, Denny, TJ, Elizabeth, Jean, Jack, Jennifer, Jesse, Karen, Carrie, Kim and family, Christina, Laura, Larry, Linda, Linda, and Linda, Lynn and family, Marty, Mick and family, Mohammed, Matthew, Paul, Pam, Patrick, Rahima, Yasmin, Rienzo, Celine, Scott, Skylar, Susan, Terry, Victoria, and people with struggles we know nothing about. Today's daily word is taken from Psalms 100, verse 2, which says, "Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing." Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote in his 94th year, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me." His example shows me that regardless of my age or station in life, zeal is a divine gift, a part of me, always mine to call upon. Through it, I feel enthusiastic and energetic about life. I express joy and excitement as I live. I love and I share myself through service. I am purposeful, passionate, and positive. I live authentically and make a bold impression in the world. I share my talents and gifts with a spirit of generosity and service. I begin each day with eagerness and end it with gratitude, happy to share my zeal. The affirmation that goes along with this, I'll say it once and then we can all say it together, is this: I bring my zeal and passion to life. I bring my zeal and passion to life. Yes, let's do that. Whatever yours looks like. Some of it is louder than others. But whatever it is, bring it, show up. Thank you all for being here today. All right, we have another song coming up. It is by far one of my very favorites. There is Only Love. And please sing along with Susan. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Yes, can we get a round of applause? Oh, yes, there is only love. And let's remember that today, in our lives. All right, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome our guest speaker all the way from Fairfield, Iowa, Reverend Steven Winn. You can read about him in our newsletter and through the link with that workshop. Please give a round of applause to Reverend Steven Winn. Yeah, it is. How's that?
How's that? Can you guys hear?
Good. Good.
Wow, this is a wonderful church. I love the music. And Stevie, you have great energy. I, I love the beauty of the building. I was here many, many years ago for a workshop, and I just sort of forgot. I just thought, oh, it's a nice place. But now that I'm here, I'm really excited. So I know it's customary to introduce yourself when you're a guest speaker, but I have something far more important to do. That is, I'd like to introduce you to your heart. So just a very simple process. If you could all just put your hands over your heart and just sit there for a minute. What's happening when we do this, and by the way, this is a very ancient posture. You see old statues of, in various cultures around the world of people sitting, meditating with their hands on their heart. What's happening is the energy from our heart runs out through our arms into our hands. And usually in the world, we do a labor of love. But here, we're returning the energy into our heart. And this self-referral loop causes our heart to awaken. So could you just spend a moment with your hearts here? And just notice what shift there is in your internal awareness. There's no right experience. Just notice what happens as we start to awaken the heart. And let your hands down whenever you're ready. So, as Stevie mentioned, I'm Steven Winn. I was the minister of the Unity Church of Fairfield for many years. I received my introduction to Unity back in the 1970s. I was going to school at UC Santa Barbara, and someone said, "Oh, come on to this church." And I kind of go, "Really, church?" And I went there, and of course, I was totally uplifted. And I thought, wow, usually when I go to church out of obligation. And now I have this new experience. But that was, Santa Barbara as a student, hard to get there, no car, that sort of thing. But later I moved back to near my hometown, near Sacramento. And the Unity ministers there, Phil and Dorothy Pearson, just the ones who just opened up Unity to me. They had a TV show that went over 14 states out in the West, and it was called "The Best Is Yet to Be." And the way our church started in Fairfield was, we were taking this 1 year break from Fairfield, and we were out in California, and we went to, this is 1989, the 100th anniversary of the founding of Unity Church. And Phil and Dorothy Pearson, they had one of these churches where 5,000 people would show up. And they said, well, and so they have teachers teaching everything because they're flying here and there and that sort of thing. But they said, for the 100th anniversary, we're going to teach some of Charles Fillmore's books. So we went to those. We got to know the Fillmores, Phil and Dorothy, fairly well. Dorothy, by the way, was the last non-family member to be with Charles Fillmore the day he died. They had a very deep relationship for many years. In fact, there's a reading room down at Unity Village called Dorothy Pearson reading room. But anyway, we had to leave 1 week early to get back to our Fairfield. And so we went up afterwards, and we told them we're leaving, and thanked them for the wonderful classes. And we're in week 9 out of 10 weeks. And they just launched into this spontaneous, 5-minute blessing of my wife and I. And I'm going, what's going on here? This is amazing. Feeling all this energy pouring in on me. And what it was, he had imparted this great blessing, and that was the energy that started Unity of Fairfield. So we started Unity Church in my home. We got a Unity teacher and then a Unity minister. And so it was going wonderfully. We had a group about this size. We had a band. And I went off, it's going well for a number of years. And I went off on a trip one summer for about 6 weeks. And I came back, went to church, and there were 5 people in the congregation. And what had happened is during that 5 or 6 weeks we were gone, there'd been a church split, church fight. Most of the people, we all went, oh no, oh no, oh no. But then I started researching it, and it turns out that in the Quaker tradition, they say churches should split. Churches should be small, intimate gatherings of people who are of one like mind and one like heart. So at any rate, the first Sunday I was back, there's 5 people there. The Unity minister was giving a sermon. In the middle of it, she stopped and she said, the Holy Spirit has told me that I'm supposed to leave. She points to me and says, and you're the next minister. The joke of it is I'd gone to her and I'd said, I want to teach a class in prosperity. Of course, I wanted to teach a class in prosperity because I was broke. And we teach what we need to learn. And she said, you just do what you're going to do in that 6-week course in prosperity for the first 6 weeks, and then just take it from there. And it just went on for 18 years or so. So that's my history. I learned transcendental meditation. Fairfield, where I'm from, is the home of the TIA movement in America. We have 2,000 meditators in this little farm town of 10,000 people. It's a wonderful town. And so I've been meditating twice a day for 50 plus years. About 12, 13 years ago, I kept on feeling like there was something missing, even though meditation really worked well for me. But what I realized what was missing was my heart. So I started looking around and trying to find how do I expand my heart? And so what I'll do today is I'll bring in, because I have basically a Christian background, obviously. I'll bring in a lot of teachings from Jesus, all focused on the nature of the heart and how we can use the heart to dive into that omnipresent field of love and light. And what I'd like to do is start with one. Oh, I forgot my timer. You know, there's a rule that says that if you, as a minister, go over time, you never get to heaven. But one of my favorite quotes of Jesus is one that's hardly ever known, but I'll tell it to you. Jesus says, if you greet a prophet in the name of a prophet, you will receive the reward of a prophet. So at first I thought, this means if there's an old man on the hill, you know, if you greet him as an old man on the hill, it's the kind of blessing you're going to get from him, the gift you're going to get from him. If you treat him as a prophet, you're going to receive the blessings of a prophet. But now I've changed, it's all true, but I've changed that in terms of the heart. And that is, if you will greet your heart as the open door to the infinite, you will receive the blessing of the infinite. Yeah. So that's a lot what we'll do here. I'll try not to talk too much and have more experience about it, but this is going to be a blend of that. And one of the ways I do that is to differentiate between the path of consciousness and the path of the heart. So in America, you know, started more or less as a Christian nation, but in 1893, let me make sure I have that date right. Yes. A Hindu missionary, you know, the Hindus sent their own missionaries over here, and God bless them for that. I love it that they do that. But this is Swami Vivekananda speaking at the Parliament of World Religions in 1893 in Chicago. And he says, "Sisters and brothers of America, it fills my heart with joy to be with you here today." And he so captured the audience as an introduction of the Vedic tradition and really beingness as the foundation, the source, that it had this huge impact. It's a wonderful impact on America. And we have now this sort of the sense, this underlying spiritual foundation that floats through sort of the new age that says, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. We all know this is true, right? We all know that we are this, at a deep level, we are this infinite beingness. But try this. Try saying, you can just do it internally. Try saying, I am not my heart.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. This is how everybody, I've never had anybody react any other way. So, and another way I like to say it is, you know, imagine you're standing at a street corner, going to walk across the street, and there's somebody there, and they start talking to you. You don't know them or anything, and you go, "Are you talking to me?" You point to your heart, right? You don't go, "Are you talking to me?" This is who we are. This is who we are. So, I have a question for you all. Which would you prefer? To have a beautiful, quiet, silent mind filled with bliss and peace? Sounds good, and it is. Or would you rather be a person who is completely, openly in love with everything and everyone and living a life of love? That, you know, well, and not everyone says that, by the way. And but I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. But the thing is, you want to look at that and use that as a guide for yourself in terms of where you want to focus your spiritual practices. Because believe me, there's a lot of value to having a quiet mind. But the thing is, if you open up your heart, your mind becomes very quiet. And it's not the case that if you develop a really deep and quiet mind, that your heart opens up. I love living in Fairfield. We have 2,000 meditators. Most of them have very quiet minds. But I would not, and they're wonderful people, don't get me wrong, but I would not say they're huge, open hearted people. Okay? They're very good people, don't get me wrong, but you know what an open hearted person is. And so, just for you to decide, and I'm here voting for the heart. So, and partly because Christianity is a path of the heart. It's a, you'll find it in so many of Jesus' teachings. And so we'll just sort of play on that. So, in fact, I have a quote from Charles Fillmore that I love. I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth because I only have reading glasses and I hate looking out at you all with reading glasses. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder with Myrtle Fillmore of Unity Church, he says, this is from the book Christian Healing, written in 1909. This sounds so old, doesn't it? 1909 and, edited 1926 or 27. And what I love about Charles Fillmore is he says things way before his time. And you have to sort of like read them and go, oh my goodness. And I'll get to one of those later, but this one's pretty more about love. He says, the only way to enlarge one's character and give play to all the faculties is through love. Love enlarges the field of consciousness by leveling the thoughts of enmity and opposition. Make friends with all your adversaries quickly, whether they be persons, thoughts, or things. So that's Charles Fillmore. Make friends with your adversaries quickly. So there's a few things that can go to, but really, I want to get to the experience of it. But we do need this context, and that's the idea, or to expand the idea. The premise is, and this really comes out of the Vedic tradition, the Indian tradition, is that silence is the goal, so to speak. And what I'd like to suggest is if you look at early Christianity, and that would be the Desert Fathers and the Desert Mothers. And if you're not familiar with those, it's when I first heard those terms about the Desert Fathers, I thought, maybe there's 50 or 60 monks out in the desert that, were very mystical Christians. I thought, that sounds great to me. But I did a little bit of research on it, and it turns out there were hundreds of thousands of Desert Fathers and Mothers. He says 300, 400 AD, pretty close to the real formative stages of Christianity. And amazing spiritual teachers in there. So I'll tell you about one of them. This was Abba Nistheros the Great. And one of his students comes to him and says, what good work should I be doing? In other words, what spiritual practices should I be doing? He says to him, are not all actions equal? Scripture says that Abraham was generous and God was with him. David was humble and God was with him. Elijah loved interior peace, silence, and God was with him. So do whatever you see your soul desires according to God and guard your heart. So Abraham was generous, David was humble, Elijah loved inner peace. All are equal in terms of spiritual development. So imagine that instead of thinking you have to be this certain deep, silent person, you're simply filled with zeal. Wasn't it the word? Yeah. Imagine your divine quality is zeal. How would that be for you? Your divine quality is generosity, humility, equal to silence. So here's one of the other parts of Christianity that is largely ignored today. is the story of Jesus and the three temptations. So Jesus goes into a cave. This is at the beginning of his ministry. He's preparing for his ministry. And he's there fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. A biblical fast, by the way, means no water. And I always thought that was impossible, 40 days. But I was involved with the Native American tradition for a number of years, did a lot of fasting and that sort of thing, and sun dances, all that. And I got to know some of the really old Native American families. And they'd say, oh, my aunt, fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, no water. And then the 40 days she got up and went to go to work. It's like, okay, I did it for 4 days, no food, no water. The guy running my prayer clan did it for 7 days, no food, no water. And I go, 40 days? I don't know how that happens, but that's what Jesus did. And of course, he was tempted. His stuff came up. Okay. And the first one was, Satan says to him, takes him to a top of a hill and says, you see, as far as you can see, I'll make the ruler of this, and everyone will love you and adore you. And, you'll be the ruler of all. And that's really this pattern that we all have of wanting love and approval. And we want it from people outside of ourselves. A big mistake. It's a losing game to try and get that. It's nice to get it, don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with having it. But really, once you start to understand that we are the beloved of the one, all that just dissolves. And we start acting as if we are so loved that we don't need to do all the things we do to please other people. It's a very powerful shift. So I forget what Jesus says about that one, but the second one was he's let me see which one comes second, which one comes third. He says, he takes him back to his cave and says, turn these stones into bread, which is basically the temptation of power. Okay. Of course, Jesus says, man does not live by bread alone. And then he says, throw yourself over this cliff and see if the angels will save you. And thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. But that was a test of wanting safety. And what happens is these three patterns are the patterns that we live in the world with. And rather than calling them, oh, how terrible, how bad, this or this or this, let's just understand this is how the world works and this is how we're trained to live. But at a certain point, we become spiritual beings, and it's time to let those go. Time to overcome the three temptations. And the reason it's not taught in Christianity anymore is that Christianity taught that the way to overcome them was through willpower, through self-discipline. Remember the stories of the Catholic saints whipping themselves when they have a bad thought or something like that. It's like, oh, give me a break. So here's Charles Fillmore on overcoming. He says, the overcoming is easy if you go about it the right way. But if you try to take dominion through will, force, or suppression, you will find it hard and will never accomplish any permanent results. Get your I am centered in God. And from that place of truth, speak true words. In this way, you will gain real spiritual mastery and raise your will consciousness from the human to the divine. That basically our individual will becomes aligned with divine will. And life's a lot easier. All the effort is gone. So, a few other teachings that we'll actually do some work with. Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. Now, take a look at the person you're sitting next to. Easy enough to love these people, right? Yeah. And probably even easy enough to love the neighbors down the street, right? Most of the time, not always. But what I'll suggest to you, and this is why we talk about it as inner Christianity, is that what Jesus was really talking about was your closest neighbors are your thoughts and your feelings. And how many of us don't like some of our thoughts and feelings? We all do, right? So, what I'm going to ask you to do, and we'll just do a little bit of practice here, is I want you to think, we'll make it real easy because it's how you learn, little baby steps. I want you to think of something that happened this past week or past month or whenever it is that annoyed you. Take something petty. We don't need a major trauma here. Pick something, they shouldn't have cut me off, or, they shouldn't have raised prices so much, or, oh, this, or this, or this, or this. Something that just frustrated you, irritated you. And just what I want you to do is think about it, bring the memory back up, and just scan your body to see if you can't find some sensation in your body that might not have been there before or has been there, you just haven't noticed it. It could also just be in your energetic field, this irritation. Either way is fine. But what I want you to do is address this not by discipline, trying to say, I shouldn't feel that way, I shouldn't have thoughts like that, but by greeting the sensation, greeting it on the level of the energy in your body. And your heart is the center of your energetic body. And just allow yourself to feel that frustration, that irritation. And rather than judging it and wishing it would go away, could you say, welcome? Welcome. It's okay that you're here. It's okay that you're here. And check in. This will sound strange, but ask the energy or ask the sensation, ask the feeling. Do you want to stay with me, or would you like to be free and go? Almost always it says, I want to go. That's why it's coming up. So could you give it permission to go? Could you give it permission even more and more? Some of you will say, I want to stay. They have the energy that wants to stay. And you just say, wonderful. You're welcome to stay here. I'm giving up on resisting you. That's not my game plan anymore. So just take a moment and check inside yourself to see if, as you greet these inner energies, these sensations with love and acceptance, if you don't start to feel slightly quieter, easier, and lighter. Just a little bit. We're not looking for a marching band type of experience. This is just a little bit because it's a way of establishing that we as heart-centered beings are the masters of our bodies, the masters of our minds. So Jesus says, love your enemies. Let's go into the second little practice. These are just small practices. What I want you to do is find something about yourself that you don't like. Maybe it's your weight. Maybe it's your body having some illness or something like that. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your relationship. Whatever it is, find something that you don't like about yourself. Loving your enemies is, at its subtlest level, is loving those parts of ourselves that we don't really care for, that we wish we could change them. We wish they weren't there. And you could do the same thing. You could just simply feel the feeling, feel the sensation. That's a perfectly wonderful way to go with that. But usually when it comes to our own self-hatred, our own self-judgment, it's usually helpful to go through a slightly different process. And that is, I want you to ask your mind. I know that sounds funny, but just go with me anyway. Ask your mind if it knows how to solve this problem. And I don't mean does the mind have a theory, but does your mind know unequivocally how to solve this problem? And I happen to know the answer is no, because if your mind knew the answer, this wouldn't be a problem, right? Okay. So what happens is we keep looking for an answer with our mind. We keep looking and looking and looking. And it's like looking for a file in an empty filing cabinet. How many more times do you go back to that filing cabinet to get an answer? After a while, what the mind says is, I don't have an answer. What's wrong with you? Other people solve this problem. Why can't you? And basically, the mind starts telling you to beat yourself up. So, what I want you to do, because first let me ask a question. Does beating yourself up solve this problem? Not a chance, does it? Never. If it did, we'd all be perfect, right? So, could you, since beating yourself up hasn't been working, could you let go of judging yourself? Could you let go of beating yourself up? It's just an intention. Would it be okay with you if you started the process of letting go of beating yourself up? Could you let go of beating yourself up some more and more and more? And could you let go of disapproving of the problem, whatever it is, your body, your finances, your relationships, whatever it is, just because it doesn't work to disapprove of it? Could you let go of disapproving of it some more and more and more? And could you give yourself some love and approval? Could you give yourself some more love and approval? It could be as simple as, I love you, Steven, or whatever your name is. Or it just could be a feeling of gratitude for yourself, something you've done well in the past. All we're looking at, the words are unimportant, it's the energy behind them. Could you give yourself some more love and approval? And no matter what the appearances are of the problem, could you give the problem some love and approval? And give it even more love and approval. Could you greet the problem as a prophet? It's teaching us a lesson. It's teaching us how to go deeper into our hearts that we might connect with the divine. There's a great Sufi poet, I'm sure most of you have heard of Rumi. He says, the wounds are where the light enters. Okay? All these things are wounds, and we open up and let the light come on in just like that. So the question I would have is, would it be okay with you to say, I love my body, I love my mind, I love my life? Okay, just say it and check to see if there's any resistance to that, like the famous but, except for. Okay, find that feeling of resistance. We've been going in and you've been feeling other feelings all this time, and could you let that go? Just recognize it as a friend. It's there to protect us. We put it in there to keep us from being disappointed or whatever. But could you just let that go? Whatever statement of truth is lively for you right now, say that statement of truth. And go inside and feel any resistance to it. And just let that go. Let it go. And you know, Jesus says that we are all sons and daughters of God. So let's try that one. I am a son or I am a daughter of the divine. How much do you believe that? Just welcome up any disbelief of that. We all have it, or else we wouldn't be that fully and completely. Can you just, I am a son, I am a daughter of the divine. Could you allow that? Any disbelief, any resistance, any, yeah, but I'm not that, or, you know, that's for other people. And could you just let all that resistance go? And let it go some more and more. And just let all that go. And I just have to say thank you very much for inviting me here. In the workshop, we'll be doing a whole lot more of work like that, and some more other interesting stuff in the Bible. But God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you would like to share your resources with Unity Center of Des Moines, now is your opportunity to do so. Deb is going to make some magic with some sound healing tools that she has while we pass around the basket here in person. And then if you are joining us online, or maybe if you don't carry cash, we can also accept donations via Venmo and Zelle. The Venmo handle is on the bottom of the screen if you're joining us online, and there's also QR codes around the building. We thank you in advance for your support that allows us to have events here. But whatever your contribution is, whether it is of a financial, physical, energetic, or spiritual level, we want to offer the following affirmation. Let's say this all together. I am infinitely abundant. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I thankfully acknowledge the divine source. So Steven and I were on the same page today as I was planning special music. I have a quote from Rudy also to start it out with. Different quote, but it's about the heart. And it's about the resistance we feel to open your heart. Rudy said, the heart will keep breaking until it opens. And so I invite you to do, as he mentioned at the beginning, opening that door to your heart. And whether you're on this side of the door, in the threshold, or on the other side, I just invite you to take a step deeper into your heart right now. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. 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 Take the path of the heart. Take the I invite you to say, I love you. Wow. I want to dedicate this offering to do the work of spirit and truth for the people of the Unity Center of Des Moines, and we are grateful. Thank you, everyone. And as we conclude our service today, I'd like to invite everyone to stand up as Deb will lead us through the Universal Greeting of Peace from the Gandhi Foundation. She will give us the hand motions to use. Just follow along.
Yeah, and I'll say these and offer them and just repeat them back. I offer you peace.
I offer you peace.
I offer you love.
I offer you love.
I offer you friendship.
I offer you friendship.
I see your beauty.
I see your beauty.
I hear your needs.
I hear your needs.
I feel your feelings.
I feel your feelings.
My wisdom flows from the higher source.
My wisdom flows from the higher source.
I salute that source in you.
I salute that source in you.
Let us work together for unity and love.
Together for unity and love.
Let's do that. How about it? Okay, everyone. It is time for our closing song. I'd like to invite everyone to make a great big circle around the room. We've got lots of people here today, so there's plenty of room. Let's connect it all up. If you either don't want to hold hands or you've been sick with something, you can put your hands over your heart. We'll all sing together. Begin with me. Let me honor always represent to me. With all that strength, family glory. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let me free and let us be the moment now. In every step I take, let us be the joyous vow. To take each moment and peace to glory. Let every peace the light of the divine surrounds us. The love of the divine enfolds us. The power of the divine protects us. The presence of the divine watches over us. Wherever we are, the divine is, and all is well. Thank you, everyone. We have so much good. Please help yourself. I need 2 rows of 6 chairs in the back like usual, and all the other chairs along the wall, a little bit away from the registers. I did bring some extra chairs up because we've had more people. So if we don't get room along the wall, put them in the back, and we'll have some strong men to this winter. So thank you, everyone. Hope to see you next week.